Here we go. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the In Your Head podcast. My name's Jesse, and here today with me for the first episode is my friend Jeff Moore. How are you, Jeff?
Always doing well.
Thank you for joining me, sir. So, you are here to help me test out this podcast, hopefully get something going, and see what we can do and make something happen here. So I'm gonna put you through this awkward bunch of questions and interview, and hopefully we can make something out of this. So I appreciate you for being here, man. Thank you.
No worries.
So the first thing I want to do is the way I'm going to start off all my podcasts. So you're going to be the first one to experience this one is our statute of initiation. Statute of initiation, in case you can't guess what the play on words is, I kind of want something that you've done that you may not be proud of, that you may be slightly illegal, or a story you may have that... I don't want to hear that you killed a man. I don't need that on my podcast. I don't need to deal with that. But something you might have done that you weren't particularly proud of as a kid or as an adult, because then you'd probably be less proud of it.
All right. Well, first and foremost, so I've never told anyone this, but probably when I was like 10 or 12 years old, I was really into child pornography.
Is it still child porn at 10 or 12?
No, but in all seriousness, when you asked me this question to prep me for it, I sat there and thought of something that I wouldn't readily available just tell people that something I did growing up. And I did think of something, and it's actually more of a series of events that I've realized that I've done throughout my life. And I steal a lot. I've never actually stolen from a person. Meaning I could never sit there and say, like, I stole $20 from Jesse's wallet.
Okay.
Or, like, I stole, Laurel's yarn.
Right, so if it was something laying around the house here, you wouldn't just walk
Well, no. I have no urge to steal from anything with a face.
Okay.
So to go back when we were younger, growing up, we used to go everywhere on bikes. And so we used to canvas, and we'd go to, like, shopping malls or strip malls. And we used to canvas for chromies.
Right.
I mean, everyone's stolen chromies, right?
Yeah, well, for those who might be a little younger, the millennials and such, it was... the Schrader valve bike tube covers in chrome.
Yeah, because everyone knows what a Schrader valve is.
Okay, well, it's either that or the quick.
It's the cap that goes on a tire that keeps the air from coming
exactly.
out.
So everybody would in the 80s and 90s, especially in the mid to late 90s, if you had those on your car, they lasted 3 days probably tops if you had them on your car before kids stole them.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many cool ones out there, let alone the fact that they weren't black, but they were shiny, kid, shiny. But they had skulls, dice, you're a kid, everything's fun. So that was probably the first instance of and there's no face to that. I mean, granted, that is you are stealing directly from a person, so I guess I'm a liar too, and in addition to a thief. But even as we grew up, me and a group of friends, we would always do these. I don't want to use the word heist, but another example is one time our friend was the assistant manager at a Wawa, and we would all show up and we would just order all these hoagies. The people at the hoagie line at the shop, like the people making the hoagies, had to hate us, and we go up front to pay for them, and the guy would just take the ticket and go beep. And anything else we have, just scan it, go beep, just say the word beep. And they'd be like, yeah, that'll be 15 cents. And we give him money, and he'd just be like, here's your change, just give it right back. And there's like other people in the store that are just watching this.
And how old were you when this all went down?
We were in high school, so
wow.
I would say like freshmen, some of us were sophomores in high school. Yeah, he got fired.
No, really?
And same group of people. So other heists that we did was you ever notice that sometimes when they deliver to like Walmart or Sam's Club or ShopRite, they used to have these pallets out back, and sometimes they'd have pallets of soda.
Like a wrapped or just
Sometimes it was wrapped, sometimes it wasn't. And then one time we were two cars of us were driving by, and we happened to notice that there was a bunch of soda out back, and we decided to just pull the cars up, and we just started throwing 2 liters into the car. And, we obviously got caught, not by the store, but by one of the moms, because she had over 100 2 liters in her garage.
Jeez. Yeah, wondering where this came from.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that was another time that we were little heisters. Another one was Blockbuster. So I shouldn't say, I'm sorry. a video renting establishment.
I think they're pretty much gone, so I don't think they could even come after you at this point. Even if the statute of limitations hasn't run out, I'm pretty sure that...
So their ingenious security system used to be that they had the sensor, the one that you walk through that everyone gets
Right.
scared about. Even if you don't have anything on you, you're still scared it's going to go off.
Right.
So they only had that on the door out, and they had no protection on the door in. And Blockbusters, being a great establishment as this, only had like 2 or 3 employees at a time. So the heist was, we had one person that was outside waiting to come in because the front door had no handle to get out. So you couldn't go. That was their defense about leaving out the front door, is they just didn't put a handle on the other side.
So if you pushed it to come in,
Well,
then...
you couldn't get out. There was no handle. Like,
right.
So we had a person set up outside that was ready to come in when we all were ready. We had a person asking for a video that they knew was like in the back of the store to drag the employees in the back there. That we hid. We hid all the copies back there. We know they know where it is, but we hid all those. And then 7 or 8 guys that would just, as soon as they saw them go back there, we just grabbed as many, because Blockbuster had video games. People didn't realize that. Just grabbed as many video games as we could carry. And then just, the person came walking in the front door, and we just all ran out the front yelling, "Robble, robble, robble, robble." We were assholes.
When you started saying, I would steal things, I expected, how some people will like, oh, I walked out with, a little bit of this or a little bit of that. This is on a different level than what I was expecting, because it sounds more like this was planning. This was effort.
I'm such an honorable person.
This
right?
was well. It seemed like this is much more premeditated, pre-done, and there's a lot more work put into it than someone I knew who walked out of a store with something from Goodwill. That's like, oh, okay.
I don't know. Why would you steal from Goodwill?
Well, I don't know, but people do it, and somebody would just walk out with something, and just like, oh, okay, and just walk away. But this is more like, this is planned. This is deeper seated than.
Yeah, I don't know if we were just bored or if we liked stuff. There sadly is more. So we had another person who used to work at a large chain place, and he was a cashier. And we figured out that he figured out that you could lock the register. So it would scan and desensitize and de-security the item, but it wouldn't charge it.
Oh, okay.
So what you would do is you would buy a piece of gum, you buy
a pack of gum, right?
And then you would stay less than 5 items, because you didn't want to have you weren't carrying out 5,000 things, one bag.
Right.
But people were going Band of Brothers, they were getting big ticket items. I purchased a graphing calculator. I was, education. So what you do is you'd also have to have a gift card, so they couldn't tell how much money you were paying.
Okay.
And there wasn't a credit card, so it couldn't trace back to you. So he would lock the register, scan everything, unlock the register, scan the gum, pay with the gift card, you'd walk out.
See, a lot of your tricks have someone on the inside. There's a lot of setup. You have to have the inside guy, for sure.
Yeah, it's a crime of opportunity.
Seems like it.
But to say the least, I think it fits pretty good into something that you wouldn't readily admit to somebody, so why not post it all over the internet? Makes sense.
No, but I understand, and I see it's different from what I expected, because normally when a lot of people, when I hear, oh, I would steal something, I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of people who do. I mean, it's almost like, who doesn't at that point? But, I expect a little, I walked off with this, or I grabbed the candy and walked out, or put something in my pocket. This is, it's a lot more, it's a lot deeper than I thought it was than when you first mentioned it, for sure. So, but no, it's interesting though. But I enjoy it though. So, but you did mention something about education. So this wants to lead me into the actual interview part here, which I know you're a nurse. You're a nurse has studied, but you don't actually practice as a nurse per se, as far as what you do. Which, if I'm going to remember, the actual term is therapeutic apheresis.
Yes.
If I'm correct, right? And my dumb, uneducated self, I call them human oil changes.
Yeah.
Because that's the best way I can think of it. And explain to our viewers who probably also don't know what the health therapeutic apheresis is. Give them the basic idea of it.
I mean, same thing I tell my patients when we go and treat them is, there's something in your blood that's harming you. We're going to go ahead and take it out and put something better in. And that's as simple as it is. We deal mostly with, neurological diseases, hematology and oncology diseases, sometimes nephrology diseases, a lot of autoimmune stuff. Essentially, your body sucks and your body attacks yourself a lot, and we can try to help get rid of the stuff that is attacking you and replace it with stuff that's not going to attack you.
Right.
I mean, that's the basis. Obviously, it gets a lot more complicated because we're also involved with stem cell research, immunotherapies. Actually, now, if you heard on the radio, any of the Penn were the first of this kind, CAR T.
Every day on the way in.
Yeah, they're not the first of the kind.
Yeah.
There's actually a few companies that have already been FDA approved for a few years that have done exactly the same thing for different types of cancer.
Okay.
But hey, it's good that it's starting to become a real thing. And people ask us all the time, does it work? And we're like, well, we never see them again. So either it worked and they lived a happy life, or we just never see them again.
Unfortunately. So, but what put you into the nursing field? What was the change? I mean, knowing you as a friend, I know that you were in food service.
Yeah, I was
before
a
that.
bartender.
Right. So, I mean, you were in the restaurant biz and then nursing. So what?
You're going to think I'm lying when I say this, but genuinely when I was younger, and it's still true now, I do enjoy helping people.
Okay. No, I'm not
And
gonna. I'm not
stealing
gonna
their
call.
stuff.
I'm not gonna call your. Well, yeah, you help them. Yeah, it's the whole reach around, get the. Yeah. No, I mean, I know you as you are, and being the. I mean, you're here for this first podcast. You're here to help me out, and
Yeah,
so
give me $5.
right, exactly. Wait, what? No, but there's I wonder what. I mean, you see people transition. I mean, my wife in particular, she's been working in the pharmaceutical industry. She's been working, she's worked for, a drugstore for 12 years, I think it was before that. Now she works in a hospital. And, so she's, in school now to become a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's been in that field and she, it's where she was. I guess I'm trying to put together where being, a bartender, food service goes, you know what? I'm going to take people's blood out.
Oh, well,
To,
it's more like in high school I knew I wanted, I was a straight transition from high school, where do you want to go to school? Okay, I want to become a nurse, and that's the path. The means to get there was, I just was a bartender in service because a lot of people don't realize it, but you make a shit ton of money.
Well, no, it's absolutely.
I mean, I was able to pay for school.
Right. No, it's a lot of people say there's good money in bartending.
Yeah,
So
yeah. As long as you don't do drugs, hookers, or feel the need to. This concept blows my mind. 50% of the bartenders I know, they would make. Let's say they make $250 in a night. They would go to a bar right after the work and spend $100 of it. It's like, I mean, yeah. Every once in a while, I can see it burning a hole in your pocket, but I mean, you yourself know that every time you poured $8 beer. That you're just going, this guy could have bought a 6-pack for what I'm...
Right. Which, I've never got quite the mystery of that either. But then again, I guess drinking alone, sitting at home feels a lot more sad than sitting at a bar. It feels a little more socially acceptable and for someone in the social eye.
Yeah, I'll be totally honest. If someone brought their own 6-pack into the bar, I probably wouldn't notice.
Oh, no, I don't even mean that. No, I would love, I mean, I think that would be great. I mean, Just
saying, there's ways around stuff.
Right.
We did it for one of my buddies, his wedding reserve. What's the dinner before the night before? The rehearsal dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the rehearsal dinner, we had a trunk full of beer. And we just went out to the party. I mean, because, there's 100 people crammed in where there should be 50. So the bartender there's 2 bartenders. They have no idea who bought their beer and who brought it in, who's got trunk beers.
Right. But nobody wants to be that guy just sitting at home drinking alone either. Nobody wants to be
I mean, sure.
that. So, but, I mean...
Lost all the alcoholics of all your...
No, I'm sure.
Sorry, guys. Next week we'll talk about drink recipes.
Yeah, no, they're too drunk. Most of my guests would be too drunk to remember this anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I was kind of curious what led to that. So, what led from the nursing into? I mean, I don't know if you want me to say the company you work for, but What led you into that from
You know
nursing?
what? I've been very lucky throughout my life. I've always had opportunity to fall at my feet. I can honestly say that I've never applied for any of my jobs. I mean, I've always had to apply for them, but every job I've ever had has always someone's approached me.
Hmm.
As far as the job goes, so I've been very lucky in that opportunity.
Right.
That doesn't say that I haven't gone out and tried to seek jobs. I mean, there was a part where I graduated nursing school and I probably went 6 months of sending in paper applications, or I guess internet applications, and applying online, and I never got past HR, because when your name's on the paper, you're no better than Bob, Joe, Jill. You can't put a face to the name.
Right, and zero experience.
So apparently I suck on paper, but in person I'm pretty okay.
Right. Well, I mean, that's not a lot of people have that kind of luck. That is something
Yeah, no.
that a lot of people would kill for.
Yeah, and I'm not kidding when I talk about every single job I've had. I used to cut lawns with a buddy, and it was his uncle that we cut his lawns for. He had a company that he had that we cut his lawn. From there, my girlfriend worked our friends worked at a restaurant, a small restaurant in Marlton that's no longer there. But they were bussers, and they passed that down. And then from there, my girlfriend worked at a restaurant, and she got me a serving job there. Or she said, "Hey, why don't you come serve with me?" To a friend called me up in the middle of the night saying, "Hey, do you own a vest and a white shirt?" And that's how I ended up serving at Marlton Diner for over a year, because I worked one night because they had nobody. They had one person, and they said, "Hey, do you have a white shirt and a vest?" And I was like, "I don't have a vest. I got a white shirt." And they're like, "Come on in." And then later that night, they said, "If you want to stay and work, you can come back." I was like, "Okay." From there, I drove my girlfriend up for a job interview a few years later to a restaurant that I ended up working for 5 years, and then that restaurant ended up losing their liquor license. So you don't need a bartender without a liquor license. No, I didn't serve underage kids. And then from there, when they heard that happened, somebody else sought me out for the job I had after that, because they heard that we'd lost our liquor license, so they knew I was available. And then from there, somebody I went to nursing school with came into my bar, and they were offended that I wasn't nursing. So I'm unfortunately not exaggerating. I've really had good opportunity, and I'm lucky because I like what I do.
Yeah.
So.
Now, was there ever a point where you were in like a hospital setting, or was it just pretty much right into where you were? The job you spoke of, is that where you are now? Or is there
the job that I got pulled out of initially was actually in a different department that I ended up being pulled to another department that's more nursing oriented, and we do work it. I know it doesn't sound like, so we are not the traditional 312s floor nurses walking around having 5 patients, 3 patients, 2 patients. We're more of a one-to-one setting, but we do most of our work in the hospital.
Okay.
So we do get to see it. We do still need to know everything that a nurse on the floor would have to know. In fact, we actually kind of have to know, I don't want to say more depending on the situation, but because you can get in a spot where you're the specialist that they're going to.
Right.
So you're the one that's supposed to know if this is going to interact with something. You're the one that's supposed to know, hey, this is everything else is going on. Is that going to screw up with this? And you just got to go, yes.
Yeah.
Or we'll find out.
and what you do, I mean, is extremely specialized, even for the nursing field. It's not something that they teach nurses.
We're one page in a book.
Really?
Yeah, we're a few pages in the textbook.
It seems like it's something more specialized. Like it would be something that you don't.
I'm just saying, when they're teaching it, there's only a few pages that's like, hey, by the way, there's this out here. You don't really need to know a lot about it, but that's okay. There you go.
Because they know there's the ones who are specialized.
Well, that's just not very common, and that's why we exist. Without going into it, I essentially work for a medical subcontracting group, and we go into hospitals and do the treatment,
right?
Because they don't have staff for it, or they don't have the machines for it, or they don't have the knowledge for it. Well, actually, it's all three, but and because it's not cost effective for them. Because we might go into a hospital once every few months, or we might be at a hospital for multiple patients every day for multiple weeks. It's complete ebb and flows.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and I guess so. I'm going to share the one story that you cracked me up with, and I still laugh about this very day. I remember the one time we were supposed to possibly get together.
Yes.
And you said, "Okay, I can't. I have a patient." I got to go see this patient. And I was like, oh, no problem. And then I get a call that day or a message, and you're like, hey, guy died. We can still chill. So,
Yeah, it's a bitter fact, but
I I mean, I know I joke about it, but when I look back at what the way it was, it makes me realize that you have to distance yourself from that part of it because what you're doing, and as you mentioned earlier, it's a lot of your body is jacked up, your body's having major issues, you're not well, and that's why you're getting called, and you have to. I guess at your point, you have to be familiar with that. You have to know that that's coming, and
well, luckily that person had not been treated yet by us, so he was still just a name on a piece
oh,
of
okay,
paper.
you weren't familiar.
So yeah, well, no one had met him yet. It was someone that was called in. It was still a name on a piece of paper. It's no different than somebody calling and say, "Hey, John Smith's sick." Never mind, John Smith's dead. I mean,
You don't know John Smith.
we didn't
right?
know John Smith. John Smith
Yeah.
was not known.
I mean, it's a little like if we're going to go today's news. I mean, you look at around now today's news. Roy Halladay.
Yeah, it
and
stinks.
I mean, yeah, it's a horrible story. But I mean, if we put a timestamp on this on this podcast, but unfortunately, Roy Halladay passed away today in a plane accident down in the Gulf of Mexico, and you can see Facebook explodes. You see
Oh,
people
yeah.
who are like, I mean, even people who've never met him, they've just watched him on TV, and they feel that way. To see how people react based on just a man from that played baseball on television.
Well,
and
nobody likes death.
no, nobody likes it, and I mean, there's a lot of ways to deal with it, but it is different depending on how you knew the person. If that was just a name,
Yeah, it was still just a name. There are some patients that we treat pretty regularly that will be very upset once they die. Actually, we had one patient that we used to treat up north that she's a very problematic patient. We have over 10 nurses that we try to geographically keep people appropriate to what hospitals are going to. We cover a very large area, tri-state area. For example, today I was out in Hershey, at a hospital out in Hershey.
Yeah.
So, and that's about 100 miles away from here.
Yeah.
Since
We're in the Philadelphia
Yeah.
metro area. For anybody who doesn't know, and Hershey it's a hike. So
and we'll go there every day.
yeah,
But we also cover, we have a nurse tomorrow going up to Denville, which is, just outside New York.
yeah,
And, we have a nurse going out to the shore. This all in one day. So, like, we cover a very large area. So, this lady was up north and very problematic. Very, very...
as in she was problematic or the health issues were.
Well, it was both. She actually had... unfortunately, she just had been diagnosed with what she had since a young age. And she was, I'd say in her 40s, which she was kind of one of those unprecedented cases, living a while with what she had. And she just, that was a shame, but on top of it, she had the entire hospital staff, doctors under her thumb, because she had a whole routine that they had to go through. I mean, they even on the front of her chart said that she was allergic to what we did. It was a mess. But short of it is that it got to the point where nobody wanted to treat her. It's unfortunate,
Right.
It takes a lot for us to get to that. I mean, it means that it was just considered a rough day. It was like, it was actually a situation where we tried to send 2 nurses because it was for our own or our own protection.
Wow.
Because, we're working 1-to-1. It's essentially if anything goes wrong or if anything is reported or they have a complaint, it's her word versus our word, and her word was gold.
Yeah.
So, and it was kind of going down that route, but being the bartender and me and in the customer service for so long, when I got a hold of her, I mean, it was all right. She's sick. It's really easy to be sympathetic when someone is in so much pain or despair or sick. So, we learned a routine together, and I was the only one to go for like a year. And then unfortunately she did eventually pass. And I don't want to say like the department rejoiced, because it's not at all what happened. Like
Right.
you would, if someone telling the story to the outside, you'd think, oh, okay, really problematic patient, caused a lot of strife, yada yada yada. They died. No, it was really upsetting to everybody. It was like, well, that stinks.
Yeah.
And it's not like there was no joy at all. There was no. Well, at least that's over with. None of that at all. It was all. Everyone was like, that stinks. That was one of our longest standing patients, and we have a few of those that are getting up there in age that everyone's going to be super upset. But I mean, like you said, it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
you learn to live with it, especially in certain fields.
Right. So then we'll go real deep. So then what about if you can look back, if you can remember, if you can look back to the first patient that you had that you treated or you were close to that had passed, that wasn't just a name? Is there anybody that stands out for something like that? And how did that like personally affect you as far as, oh man, I was with this guy, I was trying to keep him alive for all this time, and then, as more than just the John Doe on a card that comes through.
I would have to say it's not necessarily the first patient that I would have treated, but
Well, not the first patient you treated, but the first one that.
it's the young patients that pass.
Mm.
It's the patient that's in their 20s, 30s, 40s that pass. The ones that you always expect that are going to make it.
Yeah.
The one that there's a few patients that they've had diagnoses that are pretty routine for what we see, and we go in there and we never try to give false hope, but they'll ask us like, well, we see most of these cases in the area, and this is what we see. We can tell them that, and then to have them have a turn for the worse and then die, you're just like, to see the parent, see a parent bury their child, it's not fun at all. Actually, there was, and we're not in the loop, so we're not in the hospital loop always. So sometimes there was actually a situation just, I'd say a few months ago, where I'd done the treatment, the patient's first treatment. And I was going the next morning, and when I was driving to the hospital, I got a phone call from one of our other nurses, says, "Don't go on the floor." And I was like, "What's wrong?" Like, the patient passed.
Mm.
And it was like, wow. It was something, because like sometimes you can sense when a patient's getting this hope, and you really want them to get that, because that really helps with the strength of them fighting against whatever's going on. And that just would have been a really bad situation if I'd gone up on that floor, because I was that symbol of hope. Because they were, we were the people that were gonna cure what they had going on, and we were the symbol. And then all of a sudden, now later we learned there was a bunch of other stuff going on, which we didn't know about at first, with certain types of cancer. But that's it's never a fun situation to walk into someone dying.
Right, and that's and in your profession, it's a lot more common than me working in an office building.
Yeah, but when someone dies in your profession, it's a lot more fun and exciting.
Well, just because there's a chance for promotion. I mean,
exactly.
I mean, that's about the only way we get to it. So I'm going to lighten it up a little bit here, as we're at about the 27-minute mark. So I want to lighten it up because I'm going to ask all my guests this. But I want to ask, what is your hands down favorite video game of all time? I mean, now, I don't want a series. I don't want to know a series. If it does come down to a series, I'd like to know a game. So don't just give me Final Fantasy. But if there's, like, a game, like one in particular that you can nail, that is the one you would have to own, or you would have to play in an arcade. If you saw it, you'd get the roll of quarters. We're not going anywhere for a while, or a console or anything like that. That's the one.
Mario Paint.
Mario Paint. I wouldn't be surprised.
The only thing I used Mario Paint was the game where you had to swatch the flies.
Yeah,
that was fun. And you sit there and you hit the big boss guy a bunch. Actually, just by, I know I talked to you about this before and gave you an answer, but I'm actually going to change it up. By pure fact of time played, I have to go World of Warcraft, and that may sound like a cop out.
Well,
and this is a spur of the moment. This is coming to you right now, because when I think about it, there's not a single game that I've played more I have logged more hours on or enjoyed more than my time on World of Warcraft. Now, that may not necessarily be the game, and that may be more the people, the social interaction, the people I was playing with, and the way that we played the game, and the way that we summoned other players into arenas and killed them, and the way that we griefed some people. But
now the truth's coming out again.
Just hearing you explain what you were looking for, I really do have to go that. And I don't even currently play. I mean, when the expansion comes out, I'll play for a month and then go, content's dead, because it's a Care Bear now. Everything, rewards for everyone.
Right.
But seeing as I do kind of feel like that is a little bit of a comp out, because it's such a large game that's been, really, you could consider it a series. I'll go back to what I told you originally, actually, and say no. Mario RPG, 7 stars.
Okay.
By far, I used to sit there and play that game all the time, and you'd beat it, put it down for a while, and then you'd start back over.
You play it again.
And you play it again, and sadly, I couldn't tell you anything about it right now because it's been so long since I played it. I remember I used to sit there and just every RPG I ever played, I was that douche that would sit there and just kill the monotonous mob over and over again and keep killing Koopas until I'm higher level than what I should be, so I can just sit there and get to the story
and run,
and run things. I think I learned that from Final Fantasy Tactics when you couldn't just run through a game because you could get save blocked where you got to a point where you couldn't win a battle but you were saved into it and you're just like, I have to start over. And you're just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. No, Mario RPG has a huge following. That game, I believe it's on the new SNES Mini?
Yeah, it is. It's on the Classic. It's one of the reasons why I was trying to get the Classic, but, higher powers have seen it otherwise.
You mean that they all got scooped up and sold on eBay for higher prices?
No, I slept in instead.
Oh, okay. Well, there's that. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. No, but it's a classic video game with a great following. I mean, if you're going to say that there's how many? What is it? 35 games on that, or is it 40?
What, the
Classic?
Classic?
Remember on the Classic, yeah.
I think there was only 20 on there.
Only 20. So I mean, if you're talking out of the top 20, that game makes it onto the list. I mean, that's got to say something.
Yeah.
For it. I mean, absolutely, and it is a great game. I absolutely loved it. And I was one of the collectors in that game. I couldn't stop playing that game because it was just collect shit. And the Beatles. The Beatle game.
Beatles.
The Beatle game.
The mini game.
Oh my God.
The Golden Beetle.
Anybody who doesn't know, you get this little Game Boy, I guess, in the game, and you can now play a game in a game. So you're Mario playing a game on a Game Boy in a game, which is this weird Beatles shooting chain reaction game, I guess is the best way I can word it. For those of you who don't know it, take a look on it. It's all over YouTube. There's high scores and stuff. And strangely addicting and oddly satisfying when you pop a billion of these beetles and they just start exploding and great, absolutely classic game. So I'm 100% with you on that one. So, but I'm going to turn it back down again though. I'm going to ask you a question. I don't know if I've covered this one with you. I don't think I prepped you on this one, but I'm going to ask this one. This is something I want to hit everybody with. I didn't think the rest of my interviews would be as dark as this one is, so I wasn't. I didn't think there would be as much talk of death as there was in this one. But I guess what I want to ask is, if you died today and got a chance to look back at your life and what you've done, would you be satisfied with the life that you've led? Like, everybody plans for the future, but it doesn't always happen. Obviously, you see it. I mean, you see it on a regular basis. I mean, some people live to 90, but, some of them go 20, 30. You don't get to live that life you wanted to complete. If you had to look at where you were now, were you satisfied with the way you've lived life? I'm not just talking about jobs, money, but...
Yeah, is everything, that I'm leaving in my wake void? I don't have to account for, all the misery and destruction of me dying?
No, I mean, however you died. It was just a car accident,
okay.
Whatever.
No, I think I live a pretty relaxed life, meaning that I kind of do what I want. So I don't really adhere to social norms or what I should be doing. So the retrospect of that is I'm happy.
Which is good. I mean, happy's good. I mean, a lot of people aren't. A lot of people aren't happy when they would look back and go, oh, man, maybe I'm not.
Yeah, seriously. So if you want to do something, just do it.
I agree.
If you want to steal 100 liters of Coke, just do it.
Well, that I can't condone. I 100% don't condone that because no, don't go out stealing 100 liters of Coke. That's a bad idea, and I'm not going to be held responsible for it. That is my disclaimer here in my podcast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up with an ink blot test that I'm going to give Jeff here. Now, he's probably going to cheat and look up there at the screen because we have a monitor up here. But
that's what I did instantly.
What I did is this is the ink blot that I want to give Jeff to take a look at because, that is the name of this podcast is in your head. Now, these are no special ink blots. These aren't Rorschach. God, I hope that's not trademark. These aren't Rorschach drawings. There's nothing special like that. These are all individually handmade by me, just handmade ink blots. And so as far as the ink blot that you see here, and this is what I want to ask him about. So what What do you see in this particular ink blot here?
Well, initially, when I was cheating and looking at it, it was inversed. So I kind of saw it as two pads of feet,
Okay, which would be
like
this
that.
way, which is
Yeah,
what
which is how it was held. So that's not cheating. That's
but
not,
this is what I'm giving him.
yeah.
So-
Now I gotta make something else up. No, it looks like two hummingbirds sucking the life out of a patient in a chair. See,
Okay.
the head, hummingbird, the chair. It's a wheelchair.
Wow.
Yeah, see.
No, I 100% absolutely see what he's saying. No, I really do see it. I see the bird, and for those of you who don't see it, there's the bird here with the patient in the chair, in a wheelchair.
See, because the bird knows that the supravena cava is one of the great parts to go ahead and suck into. Get right here. Right in. Get good flow.
Is that the one you told me that if that thing falls out, you pretty much...
Nah, you're fine. Just put pressure on it.
A lot of pressure?
I mean, enough to stop it from bleeding.
Bonus,
You know,
yeah, no.
I mean, you don't want to hold that much pressure on the neck. That may not go.
Stop bleeding! No, I mean, that's... Wow. I guess myself, when I took a look at this, it was... the two small white spots that I see in the middle, it just kind of, I see an appearance of two horse heads, but this kind of falls out for me.
I see that.
It's a pair of horse heads staring into each other, but this almost kind of falls out. I almost don't even see it, just my eyes draw into that middle with the small pair of, with the small head.
Yeah,
with the
it's
tiny
hard to see on the
eyes.
screen, but the way the coloring is, the shading on the ink blot, it looks like it gives ears and a mane to
Yeah.
where he's talking about a horse head, and there's actually even like light pit, like it looks like there's light shining and
Yeah.
giving it dimension.
It's, yeah, well, I mean, I'm cheap and it's acrylic paint, so I didn't have any good ink or anything quality, so this is what we have here. So yeah, and this is for my guest to enjoy because I'm not recycling these, so they'll each get their own. And so that would conclude my podcast and its first episode. So Jeff, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on this first inaugural episode and getting into your head and seeing what makes you particularly tick. And I'm hoping that people enjoy this. So what I want to say is that I do have a Twitter. The Twitter is out there. There's going to be a Twitter. This is going to be through the Facebook page and on YouTube, obviously, which is where you're going to be viewing it. So I'd like you to hit that like and subscribe button, which I believe is right over there somewhere. So like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, get those from me so you can see when we release videos. Hopefully they'll be coming out every week or two. I'd like to get these out to you. So any other information as far as the Twitter account, Facebook, is all going to be down in the description. So again, thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
And in closing, I'd like to tell everybody, don't go anywhere without your toilet poncho. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.